Welcome back to Streaming Wasteland, episode 7 of our review of The Bear, or reaction, I guess, to The Bear. I am Greg, and with me always is a man who calls himself Uncle, but is just really your dad's college roommate. Say hi, Ringo.
Hi, Ringo. Why are we out of juice?
Uncle Ringo came by again, drank all the juice.
You guys ain't never got enough juice for me. Come on.
Yeah, Uncle and Aunt are just such useful terms in family dynamics,
Right?
because instead of having to explain, like, okay, that's your mom's best friend from before college, they reconnected after college, and now they live, like 10 minutes from each other. That's why she's always over here. You'd be like, that's your aunt.
Yeah.
And then later on, when it'd be like, how come my aunt didn't visit me in the hospital? It's like, well, she wasn't legally allowed to because she's not actually your aunt. Don't worry about it. Go back to sleep. Go back to sleep to a kid in the hospital. Go back to sleep. We don't need you anymore. Did I mention I'm anti-kid?
What? You're anti-kid? I could have sworn you had
Yeah.
like so many children.
I have one right behind me. Right, Bruja?
I saw the ear. The ear moved.
Yeah, the ear moved. You can kind of see just above her is Swarley, also on the cat tree. They're basking in the sun over here.
They're like the only warmth we're gonna get this year.
Viewers, this will be one of the very few times you ever see Bruja on camera. She usually doesn't follow me into the basement, and she usually hides from all people.
I think my wife has seen her at least 4 times. Every time that I've looked over, she is like been in the shadows.
Disappearing.
Yeah, and like disappearing into the night. Just bye.
Damn it, I just drank a piece of tea bag. Son of a bitch. We're starting off strong here. It's early on theme for this fucking episode. Yes, we're back at the Bear once again, as we are every Friday. This week's episode is called Review. It is episode 7, the penultimate episode of season 1. There were only 8 episodes in the first season. This is the first episode that we've had that rates in the 9s. As a matter of fact, as of today, the end of September in 2024, it is the third highest rated episode of the entire show. I think it's pretty evident as to why. We're going to go a little bit quick in this one because I don't want to take away anything from this episode. It's a very fucking intense, I guess, compression. The last few episodes, we've really kind of had a little bit of sprawl, a little bit of fun. Oh, Richie and Carmy are at a party, and we find out a little bit about Sid, and how things haven't worked out for her, and Marcus is out here making cakes and donuts, and he's got a buddy with a color binder. Maybe, just maybe, things are starting to turn around at this restaurant. And then this episode happens.
Well, that's been Streaming Wasteland, and that's the end of this episode, just as fast as...
But this episode is also one of the shortest of the entire series. It clocks in at 20 minutes, and the first 2.5 minutes are a montage of Chicago set to Sufjan Stevens' song, which I believe is called Chicago. And then after that, in a kind of impressive feat of filming, we get one 17.5-minute shot that makes up the rest of the episode. It is broken up in a couple spaces because this does air on FX, and so there are commercial breaks, but the entire thing is unedited, or like it's uncut. They did this all in one take. I did some reading on it. The cast said that they did 4 or 5 takes, and they chose not the perfect take, but the one that was the most intense and kind of impactful. And I think they nailed it. The director said that they didn't plan on shooting this all in one take. It was never something that was in the cards, like written down. But after he read the script, he's like, I don't know where to cut, because any cut we make here is going to lose the tension, lose the momentum. And so they decided, fuck it, we'll do it.
Nice. I didn't realize that. Just fucking roll with that shit.
I didn't realize it till about 2/3 of the way through. I think it was after the second fade to black, and it came right back in on the shot we had just left. I was like, holy fuck, are they not cutting? And then when I went and looked, I was like, they did not. But yeah, so like I said, this episode opens up with a little montage of Chicago. We see some sights and sounds. I'm not Chicago literate enough to name any of them, so Chicago shit is what we see. That is my official statement. We've been streaming Wasteland. Thank you very much. This has been your tour. If you want to leave any tips for our Chicago tour guides, they are much appreciated. We're so poor.
This episode has been uncut as well as the original episode we are reviewing. Thank you. Keep your hands and feet to yourself as you exit the vehicle.
Yeah. So after a little interlude, we find out that it is 20 minutes before opening. The crew is preparing for their shifts, and Ibrahim is reading a food critic's highly favorable review of the beef. The critic is, unbeknownst to Sydney, the one that she had given her risotto to in the episode before, so it didn't go to waste. She didn't know it was a food critic. Of course, nobody believes her, but the food critic highly praises the risotto.
The word I would choose now after my most recent meal is at the well-loved, if not shabby establishment, is elevated or elegant. The menu is slightly updated.
This is obviously a problem because the risotto is not on the menu. So if people come in asking for the risotto, this will be an issue. But more conflict is actually driven from the fact that both Richie and to a certain extent Carmy are kind of like, what the fuck are you trying to do?
Right?
Like you trying to be something? Like you trying to make something out of this? Like,
all right, boss lady, you did it. Got your little dish in the paper, to-go tablet. Everything's going according to plan, huh?
And Carmy specifically is like, I told you not to serve it. I think Sydney has a pretty solid defense of like, I didn't want it to go to waste, and I think that's fair. Because it's not like the staff could stop and eat it in the middle of service.
Yeah.
Finally, Carmy's kind of like, hey, shut the fuck up with that review. We need to get on with work. Where's Tina? Tina shows up with her son Louis. Louis got suspended from school, and she asks Carmy to teach him his culinary skills. And Carmy's like, are you fucking for real today? And then he kind of like lets the audience know that today is the first day they're going to have to-go orders. And so this is something I believe it was in the second or third episode. Sydney had said like we could do to-goes, and he's like, we don't have the infrastructure for it. And I think we're meant to believe that this was Sydney's baby, like this idea of like we should do the to-goes. It's not that Carmy thinks it's a bad idea; it thinks that they're not ready for it. But maybe this was a all right, you gave me the whole brigade thing that you said was going to be a disaster, so I'll give you this to-go thing so that we can see if this is going to be a disaster. And so they are trying to over prep and get ready, and Sydney's trying to get Richie to use the tablet so that he knows this new system. Richie is Richie. Yeah, it's not going well. I believe he says some unkind things about the tablet that I won't repeat here, but meanwhile, Richie's still giving her shit about like, what the fuck you trying to pull? Like, what are you trying to do?
Yeah.
You know, you put that risotto, trying to make Carmy look bad, trying to make us look bad. You think you're better than us? And I think it kind of illustrates the difference between where Carmy's coming at with this issue versus Richie. Carmy's thing seems to be more about like, I told you it wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And now we have a problem. And it sucks that it went to a critic. I'm not really mad at you. We're good. But I wish you hadn't done that. And Richie's thing is more paranoid. Like, you trying to come at my spot, bro? Like you think you're better than us? Like,
You trying to get rid of me? You trying to get rid of
Yeah.
me? You already took everything away from me. You took away the mobsters. I really like the mobsters. I liked going ahead and fighting with them.
You paid off mobsters in fucking sandwiches. Now what do I do? Now what?
You gonna take my kid and my ex-wife from me now? What's going on here?
Yeah, but Sydney then gets kind of saddled with Tina's kid. She has him doing front of house stuff, I believe, folding napkins and plates and getting plates ready and things like that. And as Richie and Sydney are kind of arguing back and forth, we start hearing people be like, yo, what the fuck is this? Turns out that in their system, Sydney had accidentally left the pre-order option on, which meant that all of these orders were due when the restaurant opened. And I don't know how popular the beef is, but man, there's like dozens of these orders showing up on the screen, and they just keep coming through the entire episode. They're just printing out. Carmy fucking freaks. He panics. He doesn't know what to do. He thinks for a second, and he starts screaming at the staff to start cooking everything they have, fire everything. They got to get these orders ready. He yells at Marcus, like, make some fucking cakes. Like, I need like cakes all day. We need to get this done like now. The staff starts kind of jumping into motion, but everything they do is wrong to Carmy, and he's yelling at them more. I'd say he's trying not to take it out on Sydney, but he's not trying very hard. He starts telling Sydney to do one thing and and Richie to do another thing, and they both start doing it and get into a kind of confrontation with each other, like more verbal fighting. Sydney is also feeling at least somewhat responsible for this. You could tell she is pissed. She's upset that Carmy's yelled at her. She's pissed at herself that she let this happen. And she's, just generally starting to lash out at people. Meanwhile, in what I can only call a true moment of obliviousness, Marcus is just continuing to work on his donuts.
Marcus, cakes all day?
Give me a set.
Nope, faster. How many?
Got a little behind. I'm gonna catch up.
Marcus, if you're still fucking with those donuts right now, I'm gonna fuck your day up. You hear me?
Yes, chef.
Thank you, chef.
No.
He's just out there working on his donuts. He finally gets one. He gets a donut that he thinks is the perfect donut. Carmy is like full. Like, if people can get to a 10, Carmy is like a 12 at this point.
Mhm.
Like, he is running around, slamming things, screaming, yelling, shouting. And Marcus comes up to him and is like, "Chef, I did it. I got the fucking donut." And Carmy is like, "Are you fucking with me right now? Are you fucking with me right now?"
Figured out what I was doing wrong. I was trying to make a cake donut when it should have been yeast all along. And
Marcus, why are you fucking with me? 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 Huh? Get the fuck back to work! Move!
Holy shit.
Everybody! Fucking idiots!
Yo, cousin, just fucking
Shut.
And he takes his donut, slams it on the ground. Meanwhile, Richie and everybody else are kind of like, "Hey, calm down." Like, Sydney and Richie, like, you need to stop, calm down. Sydney is behind Richie. Richie takes a step backwards and steps right into Sydney's knife.
cousin, just fucking
Shut the fuck up!
holy fuck, motherfucker.
No, we have a customer out.
I got stabbed. Not right now. I got stabbed. Son of a fucking.
And to Richie's credit, holy shit, man. He goes, "Whoa, I just got stabbed."
He's so calm about it too.
Yeah. He's like, "I just got stabbed."
It just jumped up and bit me in the buttocks.
This whole time we're getting flashes of the clock ticking down, because this episode really needs to feel intense. And so Richie goes and has Ibrahim treat his wound because, as Ibrahim said, he was in a brigade. He's seen some shit in Somalia. I believe he starts telling Richie the story of the Battle of Mogadishu, and Richie's like, "Are you talking about fucking Black Hawk Down?"
Create peace.
Yeah, but it didn't create peace, did it?
No. Battle of Mogadishu started when 2 helicopters came up.
Wait. Is this shit fucking Black Hawk Down?
Black Hawk Down.
And he goes, "Yes."
Dude, Ibrahim is amazing in this one too, because I think Richie said, "Could you imagine if it'd been like an inch over, it would have been right in my asshole." And Ibrahim goes, "I've stitched up an asshole before."
That's actually in the next episode,
Oh,
but yeah,
fuck,
that's
it
really
was.
fucking good. It's when he's talking about his wound healing and fucking, "I've stitched an asshole before." That shit was so good. Sydney has had basically fucking enough. She quits, and then Marcus also takes his tray of donuts, drops them out in the dining room, and quits as well.
Where the fuck is Marcus?
As Sydney's quitting, she basically is like, "Chef, you're incredibly talented, but you're also a piece of shit."
I quit is what's going on.
Quit?
Yeah, chef. I
Right now?
fucking quit.
You quit right now. What are you doing?
You are an excellent chef.
What are you doing?
You are also a piece of shit.
What are you doing?
This isn't on me.
And then takes off, very upset, rightfully so. She got screamed at a bunch. And yeah, then the rest of the staff is left to kind of pick up the slack on this day that is already hell. It ends with Carmy smashing the to-go order machine, because that'll solve it. Everyone knows if you break the monitor, the computer dies. Yeah, and that's where this episode ends. And we went through it quick because this episode goes fucking fast. You do not get a chance to fucking breathe.
Yeah, I know. I looked up and because I didn't realize how long the episode was, but I assumed that it was on par with all the rest of them being like 28-ish minutes. I was like, Jesus, that was 28
28 to
goddamn
30.
minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I had been on this, like, pretty much like this episode. We started talking about it at, like, about 7-ish minutes, and then
Mhm.
we're finished here at 16. It's been fucking less than 10.
Yeah. And it's because while there's a lot going on in this episode, there's also like I said, there's just not a lot to say about
Mhm.
it. It's about the intensity and the feel. Like we can emphasize how upset Carmy looks, we can emphasize how upset Sydney looks, etc. But at the end of the day, I mean, these are the things that happen in this episode. It is really fucking good. It's hard. It'd be one of those things where I wouldn't want to watch this after a long day at work, but it's hard to look away from otherwise. It's really well shot,
Yeah.
really well acted. All right. So now we have three potential conflicts here. We have Sydney being mad at Carmy, Carmy being mad at Sydney, and Marcus being mad at Carmy. And I guess four, Carmy being mad at Marcus. Who's in the right? Who's in the wrong here?
I think technically you could argue that everybody is all in the right and in the wrong due to the situation that they're in. But if if you were to ask me who am I going to side with, I'm going to side with Marcus. I'm going to side with Sid before I side with Carmy on this one, because Carmy didn't keep his anger in control and was like, instead of working with his team, he's just like, fuck you, you're fucking wrong, you did this, you did that. And I'm like, you're just reminding me of every fucking superior I had in the military.
Yeah, and the accusations like, "Are you trying to fuck with me? Are you doing this on purpose?" Right? That sort of shit doesn't fly with me.
Yeah.
I agree with you that Sydney didn't deserve what she got. She made a mistake, and Carmy didn't handle it very well, and she deserves an apology. Marcus, I'm sorry, bro. First of all, the donut thing was explicitly said to be like in your spare time side project, right?
Yeah.
And secondly, read the room a tiny little bit. Look around at the chaos that's going on. Even if you haven't started the cakes, which he hadn't, he was asked to do, right? Even if you hadn't started those, maybe don't walk up to Carmy and be like, I got the perfect donut. Does he look like he's in the fucking mood? Dude, like, come on.
Yeah.
So, should Carmy have flung his donut on the floor? No, that's a little bit of a dick move. And it creates a hazard. Somebody could step and slip in that, right? And somebody has to clean that up. And for all we know, it's not Carmy. But the flip side of that is Marcus really should have. And if I'm going to get on Tina's ass about sabotaging shit, right, turning up the stock and stuff like that, Marcus is not helping this situation in the slightest. He's not doing his job. He's not fucking, So I think they owe each other an apology. And in the next episode, we hear him say that Carmy acted like a little bitch. I'm like, yeah, take a bitch to know a bitch a little bit, because you literally quit because this guy yelled at you for not doing your job and focusing on a side project. Did it hurt your feelings? Yeah. But you walked out on him in service because he hurt your feelings. So, I mean, Carmy might be a little bitch. I don't think that's debatable. This episode shows some real little bitch like tendencies, LBTs, if LBLTs, I guess. But yeah, the other flip side of the coin is, come on, man. Like, he yelled at you, and in a job where you've been given tons of creative support, tons of creative freedom, you got yelled at once. He didn't yell at you when you blew the power in the restaurant. He was like, hey, man, this shit happens. So maybe instead of thinking like this is the worst ever and quitting, be like, I've fucked up too. Let me give this guy a little bit of grace. I'm sorry, but characters being forgiving and giving people grace is not compelling television, I suppose.
At least not in the episode that the problem happens in. But no, I can agree with you on that one, because realistically, Marcus was tunnel visioning and hyperfixating on those donuts a little too hard. Especially because wasn't it like an episode or two ago where we found out that he was living in the restaurant?
Yeah, he was living in the restaurant so he could spend more time working on this donut. Then he also said something like in that same episode, like, I don't quite have the skill yet, but I'll get there. And which impressive that he got there in like 2 weeks. But also, come on, man. Like, sometimes, as Carmy said to Sydney, sometimes your job is to do what I tell you.
Yeah.
And this was one of those times. Sid did not deserve to get shouted at as much as she did.
No.
I understand Carmy being upset, but man, he went overboard.
Yeah.
The risotto thing, I think, is just a non-factor, non-issue. It was on his mind clearly, but it's a non-issue in my mind.
Funny enough, I'm realizing that I'm wearing a shirt that my wife got me when she went to Arizona, and if I showed it, it's going to be reversed, but it says "Calm the fuck down."
Yeah. That needs to be the big sign in the kitchen. Calm the fuck down.
Go take a smoke, come back, and
Yeah.
reset.
And yeah, fucking yeah, it sucks for Sydney. I think calling the chef a piece of shit might be a little uncalled for, but who hasn't said something when they're angry like
Right.
that? You know, like I think that's it. Is it like it cut and dry situation uncalled for? No, but in an emotional situation, totally understandable, right? I've said worse for less to people, so yeah.
You know what this whole episode reminded me of? I don't know if you were working in the pizza joint during Super Bowl Sunday, but I was working in Pizza Hut during Super Bowl Sunday. That shit is the fucking worst.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it's just never ending, never fucking
Yeah.
ending.
Yeah. One of the reasons I try not to order pizzas on Super Bowl Sunday, or if I do, I'm placing that order ahead of time for like a pickup at a certain time so that I'm not adding to the chaos. I can't I don't understand, especially TV shows when they're like, oh, you know, it's Sunday at noon. Let's order a pizza for the gang. And I'm like, you guys are monsters, right? Like, you guys are jerks. You're the ones making, like, you're paying. But I feel like pizza joints should charge more during events like that.
Right.
Same with the wings joints. Like, if Wingstop was like, our prices are doubled on Super Bowl Sunday, I'd be like, good for you.
Right? Yeah, no, 100%, dude.
Surge pricing, bitches.
Just take the Kroger approach.
Well, Burger King tried to do that. They said they were going to roll out surge pricing at their restaurants.
I mean, honestly, like, I think that it would help, especially because, like, when I worked at Pizza Hut, it was a bunch of fucking 16 and 17-year-olds working there. We had a few people that were over 20, but they were like the special, you know, like the managers and like the cooks. And then
I thought you were going to say special needs. I was like, that's just mean.
they didn't take the phone calls, they didn't work with the customers unless of course it was taking the orders, but I was the one who was doing the phone calls while setting up the pizzas for tomorrow and having to clean up for the waitresses up in the front. So my work didn't fucking end. I was just constantly fucking moving. And I could imagine nowadays in certain places like where you're from in California, you know, having to be in a pizza joint or something like that, man, never fucking end. You got to clean everything as well as prep everything while also taking orders, while running out and picking up the dishes. Yeah. Fuck that, man.
Awful. Yeah. I'd be okay with like the idea of surge pricing at the at like a Burger King or something and paying for that because I'm the one, you know, I'm like, sorry, it's 6, but I'm hungry, you know. But the flip side is that I know that money ain't going to the employees.
Very
right?
true.
And last year, from a document from February, it looks like last year the average Burger King franchisee reported each location doing about $200,000 in profits. And so, as a co-owner of a podcast that turns $0 in profits, not counting our operating costs, so -dollars in profits, I can say, you know what, fuck them,
right? Yeah,
like these motherfuckers got plenty of money. And they were like, "Oh, it's up from 140,000 the year before." And I'm like, "Oh, only 140,000. How are they holding on?"
Right.
You know, like there are people out there who live on $36,000 a year, and these franchisees want to do surge pricing, and that's kind of where I call bullshit on a lot of this.
No, you know, with that in perspective, I completely agree with you on that one. I think that if like the employee went ahead and got some of that funding, you know, somewhere, because I mean they're the ones doing the fucking work.
If surge pricing was all tips,
Yeah.
so all the increase added by surge pricing went into an employee tip fund, then I think that'd be dope.
Yeah.
But I know even then Burger King would be like, but we take a 5% cut for transacting. And you just be like, oh my God, you greedy fucks. And I would say sorry, Burger King, but I consistently talk shit about Burger King. It is the worst fast food in my opinion. And so, yeah, every single fucking Burger King can fuck off for all I care.
So, you know, this is anecdotal on my part, but realistically, every time I go to a Burger King, I feel a little gross just like driving past it, but going in, oh man, I got to take a shower afterwards. Just
yeah. Well, and straight up, that's because you're at Burger King. It doesn't have anything to do with the location. It's because you know you're like, God damn it, there's a Jack in the Box nearby, and Jack in the Box isn't even that good. But I can go there,
right? It's it's just a step up. That's all that Jack in the Box is.
Yeah, like if you live in like the bottom of a latrine, getting to the top of a latrine, you're still in a shit house, but at least you're not covered in feces anymore, right? And so like that's the difference between Burger King is that turd pile at the bottom and everything else is a step up. Except for maybe like I'm not the biggest fan of Del Taco. I don't think it's as bad as Burger King, but I haven't eaten it enough to know like what I really feel about it. I don't think there's any around here. So
I don't know either. I just know that like Del Taco is cheap, and whenever I go to a Del Taco, I don't feel like I need to like scrub my skin raw.
yeah, it's true. He never been doing that thing that Carmen's going to talk about in the next one where my skin's oily and dry at the same time. So here's my question. Why couldn't they just been like, all right, well, we have 10 minutes before open, somebody get in the app and refund all those orders. Like just send them back because we weren't ready for that. Like send a little message like reorder in 5 minutes. This was a fuck up on our system.
Yeah. That is a good question. I think part of it's because you have fucking dipshit Richie up there in the front, so he doesn't know how to operate anything. And Carmy is of the mindset of we'll get every order out, even if we don't have.
We can make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if you're like Carmy, we don't have the stock for this.
Yeah. We don't have 75 chicken to fire.
Yeah. So, like I believe Carmy ends up saying to Richie, go fuck yourself, and Richie responds with 69 all day, chef. I mean, realistically, 69 all day. Go fuck yourself as well, Carmy. Okay, this needs to be like called right here. We just
Yeah. And it's like a weird mindset. Like I get that it's not great customer service and you're probably going to lose some customers. You might get a few negative reviews out of that. But the flip side is alienating your staff like you did and causing like an immense amount of stress. And I feel like it's just uncool overall when there's a solution right there, right? I've had my order canceled. There's a place in town that we'll never order from again because we got the first 3 months we lived here. We heard about how great this place was. Every time we tried to order from them, didn't matter what day of the week it was or what time, order got canceled by the restaurant. They were like, "We're not doing orders right now."
wow.
I was like, "Okay." So finally, we went in person like earlier this year, and we sat down, and it took like 45 minutes for 2 slices of pizza to get to us. They weren't that fucking busy. And we were just like, so that's why they don't do orders because they suck ass at this. I think it's one of those places that was an institution in like the 70s and 80s and has fallen off since then. But anybody who grew up eating it is like, oh, you gotta go.
And then you go there and you're like, this shit's fucking mid at best.
At best. I mean, the flavor was okay, but like even looking at it on the menu, I've seen 10 better pizzas in this town. I know, I'll admit, I'm spoiled. Tacoma is a pizza town. I don't understand people who claim that this is a burger town. There are a few good burgers here, but this is a pizza town. There is a great pizza or flatbread at pretty much every brewery, bar, and fucking restaurant in town, with the exception of places where you wouldn't expect to find one anyway. Like, I don't think our favorite Chinese restaurant or our favorite Thai restaurant has a pizza, but I'm okay with that because if you're like, Panda Express, I could go for pizza. You'd be like, wow, you've never been to Panda Express.
You walk in and they got a pizza fucking station and they're like,
you know what? I'm not gonna lie. Orange chicken pizza sounds
Dude,
like it could be pretty good.
I'm down. I am so I don't know what you would do for like the sauce and cheese, but I could figure something out.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I don't think I want orange chicken and cheese, but I think what I do want would be like, because you could replace the sauce with like that chili garlic sauce that they have for dipping.
Yeah.
Cheese wise, it's a little bit weird. You need to find something that fits in that flavor profile that isn't that you can kind of like hold toppings on.
So what if instead you went ahead like do you like chow mein or fried rice when you go there?
Fried rice.
Fried rice. Do a fried rice on the top.
Oh, interesting. Like pack it in,
Yeah.
kind of hold it in place. Shaking this camera around like fucking T-Rex is coming.
Audience, we're getting hungry.
What happened to the goat?
All right. So getting off of the food subject real quick here. Do you after watching this episode, how do you feel about Carmy, Tina, Richie, Sid?
I don't have strong opinions on Tina or Richie in this episode. Sydney, like I said, I feel bad for her. Richie's the same asshole, which is why I don't have any strong opinions on him. We've seen, end of the last episode, he was the one calling the cops on the mobsters, and he kind of got worded up by even his closest ally, Tina, of like, hey, motherfucker, I'm trying to do something around here, you know? And so he is the last one, the odd man out at this point. And, so he's doing what he's always done, which is fine. I'm not upset by his actions. It's kind of funny that he got stabbed. um, but yeah, fucking all of the support staff is fine. Marcus, like I said, I feel like he was at least as in the wrong as Carmy. Well, probably not at most as in the wrong as Carmy, not at least, but he really screwed the pooch on that one, and I think they should both apologize to each other. Sydney didn't deserve to get yelled at as much. Carmy, this is kind of, I think, what everybody might have been a little bit worried about, is that when shit hits the absolute fan, he actually doesn't have what it takes.
Yeah.
Because these are the situations that don't happen in professional kitchens. And I think that might be the best takeaway from his attitudes, is that you can train all you want, and especially at like the high end. But when you get down to running your own restaurant with a staff of 8, and it's a neighborhood joint, somebody might fuck up and turn on the pre-order button. Somebody might fucking order pork instead of beef. It's just one of those fucking things where, like I said, this doesn't happen in high-end restaurants. Nobody at the French Laundry has ever had to deal with like pre-orders coming in and to go not working, etc., because they don't fucking do that at the French Laundry.
Yeah, and I think that at the end of the day, when we look at it, it's a lesson that Carmy has to learn. I guess in this way, I guess he couldn't learn it any other way, and that shows, like you said, that Carmy might just not be ready for running the restaurant. Like, he absolutely will need the entire crew to bolster up the spots where he's kind of, fucking up.
Yeah, and also, more so than like a cooking class or even like maybe like an accounting class, seems like it would be helpful here. But like, he might want to just do like a couple, like he watches his cooking channels at home, but maybe he needs to watch like some business management YouTube. I'm not saying that you'll learn all the answers out there. If you're a business owner and you're listening to this, please don't kill me. But it's free, and it's something he can do in his own time, is like some basics of business management in the hospitality industry, some basics of things to expect. It seems like he has a good idea on some stuff. Like, we hear him in the next episode talk about like a parachute, and when he was talking to Uncle Jimmy, he's talking about runway. He was talking in the first episode about, if a good week is 4, then let's do 5. He understands like the sales and the ins and outs, the costs of things, etc. But it seems like when it comes to actually running the actual business, like with the staff and everything, he doesn't know. And why would he? He trained to learn how to fucking tweeze the perfect time onto a fillet of whatever fancy fish you're serving. That's that they don't spend a lot of time talking to in like those high-end restaurants, I assume, talking about like, and this is how you would handle a labor dispute.
So I guess then the question that comes up here is, in that first episode, we watched that one chef berate him. Do you think that chef kind of already had a feel for the fact that Carmy might not be in the position to lead, and he was just calling him out in the worst way?
Yeah, I think that's even what he said, is like, you're not a leader, you fucking suck at this. But I also am not 100% sure from that episode that conversation actually happened, right? I think we're meant to, but it ends with him going like, you should have been dead, it should be you. And so I'm not 100% sure that wasn't all just Carmy's dream. And so, that it's entirely possible that conversation never happened. But in the next episode, and I keep alluding to the next episode because it kind of wraps up a lot of threads here. In the next episode, we do hear Carmy talk about how much it sucked to be a chef. And so, like how he got his ass kicked and everything like that. And so it does lend some credence to maybe at least that was part true. I think more what that chef was doing was trying to do that old man boomer thing of like, I'm going to be even harder on you to inspire you more. And I mean, in my experience, it's a valid technique. It just doesn't work on everybody, and I I think that's what makes a shitty coach or a shitty leader from a good one, is that like the good ones find new ways to do things to motivate and improve people, whereas the bad ones just keep it going the way that they've always done. And then they say things like, "Well, he can't hack it," and you're just like, "Well, he can't hack it because you." Some more little factoids about this episode. This was the one that was nominated for the Emmy. It won Ayo Edebiri, Sydney's actress, an Emmy for Best Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series. I don't know how they determine supporting or not, but I feel like Sydney's as close to a second main character as we have in this show, so whatever. It also won the Emmy for Best Directing in a Comedy Series. Goes to the creator and director of this episode, Christopher Storer. And this episode specifically made over a dozen best episodes of 2022 list. It is highly regarded by critics, fans alike. And I think something that kind of makes it unique is, unlike some of these other episodes, you actually don't need to know anything about the show to appreciate this.
Yeah.
You can actually pick up everything you need to know. Richie is a fuck up from the get go. Tina, she's not the person she used to be. So at this point, she's like just a regular chef on the line and just has a complication with her kid. And you can learn everything you need to know about the characters, right? Marcus is really focused on his baking. Ibrahim is kind of like a comic relief meat guy. Sydney is like really like type A, I want to get shit done correctly, right? Carmy is a type A plus, wound up way too tight. And yeah, you can watch this whole thing not knowing anything about the show and be like, "Holy shit, what is this show about? Oh my god!"
Right.
And I think you would still end up liking the episode. I think the only group of people I can think of that wouldn't like this episode is people who have been in similar situations in kitchens too often, like professionally, and they're just like, "Fuck, dude, I don't need to bring the stress home."
Well, so funny enough, my neighbor was the one who suggested I watch the Bear before you ever did, and they're all cooks, line cooks, and they're all
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, it's so fucking good. It's like representative of exactly what I go through every fucking day." And I'm like, ah,
Yeah, it sounds horrible.
right?
You know what shows representative of what I go through every day is a video that I play of myself on loop sitting on the couch. It's pretty dope. I'm so poor. Please give me money. You can donate that money to your local Panda Express. Tell them to make an orange chicken pizza. All right, that's our episode. This has been Review, obviously named after the review. That is not at all the important part of this episode. We've been streaming Wasteland. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you're on Spotify or YouTube, you get to see the fun video part. If you are on any of those services, sorry, I can't bring videos to you. Maybe someday in the future. That is it for us. Find us on the social medias. We're streaming Wasteland everywhere, spelled as you found it on the show, except for on TikTok, where we don't got no vowels because we're cool kids like that. We were going to try to work some Z's and X's in there, but we ran out of characters. There's a limit. I've been Greg. I'm out of here. Say goodbye, Ringo.
Goodbye, Ringo.
You ever been kicked out of a Panda Express?
Not yet. It's gonna happen though.
I have.